I think it is working now. Whoa, is my mic hot? Okay, my level's like, okay, it might be my volume. All right. After a few technical issues, I'm finally online. No one is with me yet. Fourth Root said he'd be able to make it, but I don't see him online. But we'll see who joins and we'll see if anyone is there in the chat. So, yes, this is the April live stream where everyone can watch, supporters can join. And if you want to know how you can become a supporter and join in, because I'm kind of lonely over there on the right side of the screen, not hearing anyone else's voices, any subscription tier will get you there. If you're already a subscriber, you can just come on in. If not, go to Patreon or Subscribestar, join at any level. You'll have to connect it up with Discord and go over to the Bogosity Discord at discord.bogosity.tv. I know that's a lot to go into, but you can now do it directly from Bogosity. You don't have to go through Patreon or Subscribestar anymore. Just go straight to bogosity.tv and you can subscribe there at $2.99. Jump straight into the live stream. Hello, Zaji. How you doing?
Hi.
Yeah, I think this is the first time you've joined us, isn't it?
No.
Oh, it's not?
It is not, no.
Oh, okay. Maybe you've got do you have a different name?
Yuri was my last one.
Oh, okay. Well, welcome back. And hello, SKM.
Hello.
Yeah, I think this is the first time we've done it Sunday afternoon, so we'll have to see how much we get in terms of viewership and everything.
Yeah. So, I guess I got a question, and this is something I do. I create conclusions when I'm bored, right?
Gotta do something.
What's your opinion about like Islam versus Christianity and the amount of harm it can cause?
I mean, as far as religions go, I'm an atheist, so I think they're both bogus. Historically, I think they've both had their good eras and their bad eras. The good era for Islam was, of course, very early on when they were doing a lot of science, medicine, and astronomy. And then the Crusades, beat them down and put a halt to that. But then in Christendom, after that, you had the Renaissance, and after that, the Enlightenment and the modern science era. So it's kind of coincided with that. And then the Islamic world is kind of back in tatters.
So, like, what do you, in terms of like the text alone, right? Which is like what most Christians are nowadays. Most Christians, at least here in America, right, are not like the same type of Catholics that you saw back in the 10th century. Same thing with the Muslims, right? So if we were just to analyze the text themselves and individual by individual, what would you say would probably be more harmful to have in your society?
I think you're going to be able to find justifications to do whatever you want in either of them. I've got a couple of videos on that where, you can go through the Quran and you can find verses that tell you to kill the infidels, and you can find verses that tell you to get along with everyone. You can also do that with the Bible. So it's all kind of multiple choice. And I mean, I guess maybe we could like try to count up how many verses one has versus the other, but I don't think that's the important point. The important point is that people don't do these things because they read a verse and then all of a sudden they become a murderer and go out and kill people. They want to do that first, and they're looking in the text for justification.
Okay. I find that the Quran or Islam is probably the most harmful religion out there that exists.
Hey guys.
Probably.
Hey, yeah. So what are you basing that on, Zaji?
We can go by like criteria by criteria. If we're wanting to talk about like how harmful were they in the societies that they ran, what the texts say, who their religious figures are, etc. If you
but again, like I said, it all depends on what era you're looking at. Are you looking at the modern day? Are you looking at the 10th century?
Arabs have always been worse than Christians.
No, that is not true. There was a time for about 4 or 5 centuries where Arabs were like far, far, far ahead of Christians.
Maybe technologically, right? But like they weren't. They were never morally. When I say they're far worse, I mean they did way worse. They were always doing way worse.
I mean, this is an interesting discourse because
And
uh,
by the way, the Muslims were never ahead of the Christians in the way that you think they were technologically either, right? They just had more documented and discovered more, right? But they weren't. Their societies weren't necessarily better, especially.
Well, they knew more about science. They knew more about astronomy. They were ahead in mathematics. They had more medicine available and more knowledge of it. So I don't know how you can come to that conclusion.
I guess
It's the fact that you can look at both societies and the average day-to-day life of an individual, right, in the average city, and tell that there's not a major distinction between the two. The things that you're talking about with regards to like medical advancements, the rich only had access to those anyway, right? As well as the
Well, that was
technological,
true in Christian societies too.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? On a developmental level, these guys were never too far ahead of each other. Right? That's the problem. And that's not even true of all of like the Greek speaking world. I mean, for the 11th century especially, right? The Eastern Romans were definitely more ahead of any Islamic society at that point.
Yeah, I think you would have trouble. I think you would have trouble to defend that to someone who really had the details of what's going on. What you been up to, Sid?
not a whole lot. Oh, college stuff mostly, but and that's basically that's it basically. Um, that's kept me, I guess, amply busy for yeah, I guess the last year or so.
All right, and we got a few chats coming in. Chris says you get to host a podcast and I'm stuck at work. Yeah, we couldn't work it out for Chris to join this month, but I'm my schedule is just I've got too much stuff going on. This was where I could kind of sneak it in where a few people could be on. And then we have Atrapanus Atramhotos or whatever. He says, in an ANCAP society, do you believe a central army funded by everybody or most people would be preferable to decentralized armies? I don't know how you could have a central army in an ANCAP society. I mean, it would only be decentralized.
I mean, I guess I don't know, something similar to Blackwater, maybe.
I don't know. Blackwater's only what it is because of the government, though.
True, yeah.
Connor Seymour says, I guess we're talking about the Christian Islam thing. One is only better than the other because the adherents are less strict at certain times.
What does that mean?
I mean, I guess it does. It might say something that there are not as many, I guess, Christian terrorists, or well, I mean, I
Well,
guess
it's not just that. Even like the
well, because Christendom is now a more enlightened society, and I mean, I've got videos about even like in the 20th century, Iran was very much a westernized democracy up until 1953 when the US and the UK pulled their crap and basically pushed it, gave the Shah ultimate power, caused the Islamic Revolution, and now it's an Islamic state and it's terrible.
Yeah. I mean, even I guess until the Shah was taken out of power, while the society wasn't democratic, he was quite authoritarian. It was starting to modernize a bit until the Islamic Revolution happened, or it was modernizing significantly, and then the Islamic Revolution turned all of that progress on
Yeah,
its
but
head.
no, it was a democracy. It had a parliament and a prime minister, and the Shah had very limited power.
Yeah.
And there actually wasn't, certainly not compared today. There was a lot more agreeableness between Jews and Palestinians before you had the partition and everything else. And that just completely destroyed relations there. And of course, we see what's going on there now. And now Israel's attacked Iran, so
You're referring to before 1948, right?
yeah. I mean, even before then, like after the fall of the Ottoman Empire.
I mean, to be fair, there were, I guess, things like the Hebron massacre that happened. I don't think relations were ever great between.
But for the most part, they were living together. It wasn't anything like it was after. Speaking of Iran, no Al Qaeda suicide attackers are from Iran or Sudan for that matter. Iran has also never invaded another country. All of their external fights have been defensive.
Yeah. Of course, they also have all their sort of proxy groups that they support, but directly, I don't think they've attacked many people yet.
Well, yeah, but who isn't doing that? The U.S. is doing that all over the world. If you're going to count that as a count against Islam, then you'll have to count this as a count against Christianity.
Yeah. Of course, I don't view the U.S. as a Christian country, even though we're mostly majority. Even if the majority of people are Christian, I don't really count the U.S. as a Christian country. If you know what I mean. Yeah. Anyway, um, there was this argument. I think that Christopher Hitchens once made. Specifically surrounding that whole discourse. Because he once said that he thought Islam was the most dangerous religion, um, at least currently, because in its doctrine it claims to be the, I guess, last and final, revelation, and that there can't be any more after this. I think.
Yeah, I'm
That's
not
what
sure
he
what
viewed
he's
as
talking
dangerous.
about there.
Hold on. Let me pull up the specific argument. See if I can figure it out.
All right, and it looks like we have Fighting Zenithian back on. Where is that? Is he? Oh yeah, he's on Rumble. And thoughts on Keely Dickerson and Louisiana House Bill 777. I don't know what that is, but there's the Archive Is link there on your screen right now, so you can grab that and look at it. He says, as a Louisiana native, I think my state would be better off without either government or religion. I think that pretty much applies everywhere there's an Ithian, so doubt you'll get many arguments from us on that. And I have not read Robert Pape's book, Dying to Win. And I'm having the attack of the medications today. In addition to my normal medicine, we had weather blow through. I woke up not being able to breathe through my nose, so I took some Mucinex for that. And then about a couple hours ago, it still wasn't great, so I took acetoephedrine, and so I've got all that going on right now. And Zenithian also says, thank you for going after Dr. Drew on his terrible marijuana video. You're most welcome. I had fun making that one. Yeah, Dr. Drew is someone who probably deserves a lot more than he gets. Not that many people seem to be going after his crap. But I mean, a lot of things that make these countries the way they are just the environment that people are in. I don't think it's the case where any of us can say we're genetically any better than the people there. If we had been raised there, we might, have different attitudes and might even, be violent ourselves if we lived there our whole lives and not had the benefits of living where we are. And maybe that would be the case regardless of what the religion was.
Yeah, so his specific argument is that because Islam claims to be the last and final religion. He claims that's straight away a temptation to violence, and that's why he thinks it's the most dangerous religion, existent religion in the world.
Yeah, I don't quite see how that follows. They believe they're the last religion. Why would that make them more violent?
Maybe because they're the only one that claims it. I don't know. I don't necessarily agree with that
I don't
particular
see how
argument.
Christianity doesn't claim it. Christianity's talking all about how, about the end times and about how Christianity will be fulfilled and all that. Robert Pape's book, according to SKM, says suicide terrorism is primarily motivated by foreign occupation and not religion, such as the Tamil Tigers in Sri Lanka and the PKK in Turkey. Yeah, I covered a lot of that in my follow-up to the 9/11 commentary I made after the 10th anniversary of 9/11. And I went over a bunch of examples from all over the world of suicide terrorism from people with all sorts of religions. Just, it's the foreign occupation and oppressive governments and getting some more recommendations from Zenithian. Thank you very much. He's got another PragerU video. I like Chris Chappell, but he's wrong on sex work, marijuana, and drugs in general. And speaking of Iran, you should consider debunking Douglas Murray and Senator John Neely Kennedy on their pathetic war case. I'll take a look at that. But yeah, I can already tell you I'm against the war. I don't care what their arguments are. I'm against the war. Always against the war.
Yeah.
Unlike the Republicans, oh my God, they knuckled under in 3 seconds, didn't they?
Mm. Yeah, I mean, a war with Iran specifically would also be a logistical nightmare for a number of reasons.
Yeah.
Like, you think Iraq went poorly. We have another thing coming.
Yeah. Yeah, and also all of the other countries that would draw into the conflict. That might be another world war, coming in there. Like, because when you had World War I, Austria went to war against Serbia. And so all of these other countries that had, the treaties with Austria, the mutual defense treaties, came in on their side, and all the others with Serbia came in on their side, and it just blew up. And same thing with World War II. SKM says there is no one Islam. There are multiple denominations. Oh yeah, and the denominations do not like each other. They're more likely to war with each other, I think, than they are with other ones. Much like sects of Protestants and Catholic Christianity. Yeah. And for Sid, Finding Zenithian suggests you read Maggie McNeil's essay, Unchristian Nation. He said that some of the things you had said were well said. I don't know if it was about like not attributing our wars to Christianity or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know how much you can attribute any government action to the will and beliefs of the people, because if it were the will and beliefs of the people, wouldn't they be doing that without government? Why do you need government to do it if it's what the people would want anyway?
Well, there might be some things where people think they can't do without government. Whether they can or not is another matter, but they think they can't. Like there are a lot of people who think you can't have roads without government, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean,
So
I'm talking about things like a lot of the terror attacks and the supporting of Hamas or whatever. If it's the case that Iran is supporting Hamas, that means Iranians support Hamas. Well, why would they need their government to do it? Why wouldn't they just send them the money on their own or whatever? Just like us in Ukraine. Look at how many people are against sending money to Ukraine, and they're going to send another, $96 billion?
Yeah. Well, a lot of people are donating money to the Ukrainian Defense Fund of their own accord.
Not that many, not $96 billion worth.
Yeah. True. Well, again, um, this is kind of one of those things where like people assume like yeah, government is the only type of people who can do it. Whether they're right or wrong is another issue entirely. But yeah, um, like people assume matters of defense spending are that's something people associate with the government. So, and there are a lot of people who do favor it, and hence, you know, obviously, the people who represent them might as well.
Now's about the time I start wondering if okay, it's working. I was starting to wonder if the YouTube chat was silent or if it had frozen up on me because our chat keeps doing that. Hamas is Sunni and Iran is Shia. I always wonder why they would support them. Well, maybe they aren't. Maybe it's just, misinformation. How do you know at this point?
Well, I mean, Iran hates Israel, and they kind
Uh,
of don't really they kind of don't want them to exist. So, I mean,
enemy
it
of my
does.
enemy is my friend, I guess.
Yep. I mean, they also support Hezbollah, another group that does the same thing. That's that we know of. So, it's not really far out that they support Hamas.
Yeah, I just don't know how much we can really know about it. Once they get rid of Israel, they'll start fighting each other. Oh yeah. Yeah, well they already are.
Yeah.
That's
They
why
don't
I
need
say just
another
leave
reason to
them
hate each
to it.
other.
Just pull out of it. Not our car wreck. Not
True.
our car wreck. Just let them kill each other. I'm sorry, but there's only so horrible people can be before I start going, yeah, I don't really want to I don't really want to get involved in that. Sunnis consider Shia as not real Muslims and vice versa. Yeah. Are we talking about the two ones that, like, you have Muhammad, then you have his successor, and they both agree that the second guy is the successor, but one of them thinks there were like a couple other people in between, and that's like the only difference? Hello, monarcho liberal. Yes, you're late, but we'll forgive you this time. We see that with Christians all the time, though. Christians saying that Catholics aren't real Christians or Mormons aren't real Christians or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard, and I've seen people explain all the different denominations and such. There are the majority of Christians I've seen seem to agree that Mormons are not real Christians because they don't believe in the so-called fundamentals.
Well, they believe that Jesus Christ was divine. He died for our sins, was resurrected, and all that. They believe all the stuff.
Yeah, I guess.
They've just
Um,
got this extra stuff from Joseph Smith.
yeah, like the Garden of Eden being in Missouri.
Hey, I didn't say it
It's
made sense.
yeah. I mean, it's so weird that we know he was like an obvious fraud, and yet there's
Yeah.
still a significant number of people who believe in his religion.
Yeah. I don't know. So many religions are obvious frauds. They're not as obvious a fraud as Scientology. I mean, geez.
All right. question that I think might be a good, I guess, jumping off or a good well, relating to the current discussion. Why do you think it is that the United States is far more religious than Europe is? Well, but their populations, despite their histories, and the U.S. having separation of church and state in its constitution, and the other some European countries having actual monarchies. Why do you think that's the case?
Well, I think that might be it. It might just be that we have a free market in religion. And to get a free market in something, you get more of it. We don't have like a state saying, this is your one religion.
But I mean, in practice, those countries do have religious freedom. It's just that their histories of a lot of Europe being controlled by the Catholic Church and
Yeah, but I mean, they also have
y-
their state religions. In Britain, you've got the Church of England, and, Denmark has their own state religion. And
yeah, like there are some people who chalk it up to the I guess prevalence of the religious right in the 1980s.
yeah, which seems to be getting a little bit of a resurgence now.
Yeah.
We're seeing a lot more of the theocratic side of them coming out. They've been pretending to be libertarians for like 10 years, and now they're showing more of their true colors. Religiosity is concentrated in pockets. Well, that's true, yeah.
I mean, there was this one, I think, interview that Stephen Fry did, where he said, in he's from the UK, so in the UK, church and state are like absolutely completely intertwined because they have an official state religion, and despite this fact, it has some of the highest rates of atheism in the world. Like I
Yeah.
think the majority of people there don't believe in God. Meanwhile, in the US, we have separation of church and state right in our First Amendment, and yet everyone here believes in God.
Well, not everyone, but an overwhelming majority, yeah.
Yeah. Which is a
But I mean,
strange.
we're not like overwhelmingly Catholic or overwhelmingly Baptist or anything like that. We're a bunch of things. Oh yes, Minarco, the weather is wonderful over here too today. Ugh. Got the 12-hour extended release stuff going.
So I guess this may be a hard pivot in terms of topics, but what's your opinion on that guy Bukele, the president of El Salvador, whom a lot of conservatives are fawning over because he apparently his policies led to a drastic decline in El Salvador's homicide rate, and it's now a lot safer than it used to be. It used to be one of the most dangerous countries in the world. Now it has a lower homicide rate than Canada, and people attribute that to his sort of mass incarceration program.
I mean, you lock up the troublemakers, that's bound to happen, but I don't know a whole lot about it.
Yeah. Like they're saying this is evidence that like tough on crime policies work. And I haven't looked that much into it, but I'm
Well,
not
I
sure.
mean, I think it all depends. If you're doing it, but you're doing it in a way that makes sure that you can prove that they're criminals beyond a reasonable doubt, and you're just getting more of them off the street. That's different from just, trampling all over their rights and doing stop and frisk, and then, grabbing people who have an ounce of marijuana and throwing them in prison or whatever.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's going to be more than just how many people have you thrown in prison, because we put more people in prison than any other country on the planet, even proportional to our population. So if throwing people in prison worked,
Well, proportionate to our population, we're among the highest, but we're not quite the highest. I think El Salvador now, thanks to their program, actually they're number one in terms of incarceration rate. So that's why, I mean,
And
that's why a lot of
incarceration rate, though, compared to what, population reported crimes, or the actual statistic matters, I think.
Yeah, like I think it's percentage of population that's incarcerated, but I can check the data on that.
Because, like, if you look at our crime statistics, we're putting away so many people, but we're putting them away for, bullshit crimes like, drug possession or whatever. Whereas if you look at violent crimes, whereas overall the violent crime rate has gone down, if you look at the National Crime Victimization Survey and compare it to the FBI Uniform Crime Reports, the number of crimes cleared by arrest as a proportion of the number of reported crimes, that's been like cut in half over the last couple of years. And that's resulted in a big difference between the number of actual violent crimes and the number of reported violent crimes, because people just don't bother reporting them because they think the police aren't going to do anything. And that's primarily, I think that was concentrated in like the cities with over 1 million people. But yeah, that's becoming a bigger problem because the police aren't really doing anything about violent crime, or as much as they were. And the people are just, not thinking about that and kind of giving up on calling the police.
Yeah.
It has to be harsh enough to serve as a deterrent, but if you make it too harsh, then it could increase because you'll give them nothing to lose. Yeah, we've talked about this before. In like the early 19th century, they had the death penalty for kidnappers. And it kind of backfired because that just meant when they were done with the kid or when the heat was off or whatever, they just murder them, because you're getting a witness out of the way. And, worst case scenario, what, are they going to kill you twice? So yeah, if you want that not to happen, then you have to make the penalty for kidnapping to be something less than the penalty for murder.
Yeah. Okay, hold on. I looked up the stats. So yeah, El Salvador. Okay, this is incarceration rates per 100,000. So El Salvador has 1,086 people incarcerated now for every 100,000.
Wow. That is an enormous incarceration rate.
And the U.S., compared to that, the U.S. has 531.
Yeah.
So yeah, they've been putting a hell of a lot of people in prison.
Yeah. Wow. So, I mean, yeah, maybe they got the violent crime rate down, but at what cost? I mean, how many of those 1,000 out of 100,000? Yeah, that would be one. That's 1% of the population. Is 1% of the population of El Salvador actual violent people? Or are they just sweeping with such a wide net, they're getting a lot of innocent people too?
That might be what's going on. Because because the president's gotten some that guy's gotten some criticism as well, for I think violating civil liberties. But like and I guess the right wing response to those criticisms is, oh, who cares about civil liberties? At least they're safe now, or whatever.
Well, they're kind of caring about them when they do it to Donald Trump, don't they?
Yes.
But what they're doing, I point this out, what they're doing to Donald Trump are just the same dirty tricks they do on a lot of people. Maybe they're not concentrated like they are on Donald Trump, but they didn't just pull these ideas out of a hat and think, what brand new thing are we going to do to get to Donald Trump? These are all things they've been doing.
Yeah.
So Monarcho Liberal says, speaking of religion, I got into a debate with a dude who legit thought governments should engage in censorship. He was Christian, and I got him to admit under his principles, Muslim governments should censor Christianity. Yeah, people don't think about that. They always seem to think about like the government being on their side and censoring the other people. They don't think about them being censored. I don't know what that was. That was a bleep of some kind. I think it was on my end, but I don't know what makes that sound. Just 1 second. All right, I'm back. And I can't hear myself. Am I? Check. Okay. Yeah, it goes to kind of like what I was saying earlier about people saying, hey, send money to Ukraine, but they don't mean their money because they could send their own money to Ukraine as well. They want to send other people's money to Ukraine. That's how it goes. You still there, Sid?
Yep, I'm still here.
Okay. I wanted to make sure I didn't mess you up there and accidentally mute you or something. Chat's getting kind of quiet. I wonder if it's frozen. I'll refresh that. Okay, there we are. Hey, what else would you want to talk about?
I don't know. Maybe I'll think of something.
You can see what's in the news, I guess.
Yeah.
Do they know anything more about the guy who set himself on fire in front of the Trump trial?
Apparently, he was a guy who hated both Trump and Biden. Yeah.
I mean, clearly you're talking about a disturbed person, so I don't think it's going to be reflective of either side.
Oh, a person set himself on fire. How tragic. But first, most importantly, what was his political ideology?
Right? Yeah. Tesla's cutting prices. That's coming right on the heels of the news of their layoffs.
Yeah. Apparently, also they have to recall a bunch of Cybertrucks.
Yeah, there's like some plastic part that could fall behind the accelerator pedal and get stuck. So not one they could fix with a software update. Oh God, New York Times has an opinion piece, The Fantasy of Reviving Nuclear Energy.
Fantasy. I mean, I don't know. France seems to be doing pretty well with it.
Yeah.
And we can
When
also
they
see
actually stop freaking out about it.
Yeah. And we can see the whole crux Germany is in. Now that they've gotten rid of all their plants, they have to.
Yeah.
Uh, they have to.
They have to buy natural gas from Norway and the United
Russia.
States.
And also get they also have to get energy from Russia as well.
Well, that was what they were trying to prevent by destroying Nord Stream. Yeah. I don't know if they can get it some other way, but their primary means of getting it from Russia. Not went up in smoke, but went up in bubbles, I guess. Let's see. Oh, Fannie Willis has another ethics complaint. SKM says, speaking of New York Times, don't they censor and screen their comments on their articles? I thought they shut off comments entirely. A lot of them did that a few years ago. Because people were pointing out what bullshit they were.
Another thing, so if you've been on the site formerly known as Twitter as of late,
Ex-Twitter.
there has been an influx of let's just say not great people. Like there's a lot of people have noticed a lot of like alt-right accounts, for example. Um yeah. I don't know, have you noticed that?
I haven't noticed anything in my feed like that.
Yeah. Um
I'm always skeptical
like
of
for example,
reports like that because I looked at an analysis of one a few months ago. I covered it on the podcast, and basically they had created all these alt-right accounts and then just kept hitting refresh like thousands of times, and a couple of times like, look, see, I got an ad right next to it. It's like, yeah, shut up.
oh, like for example, there was a or maybe they're just the most vocal, but for example, Alex Jones once tweeted something along the lines of, "Yeah, Hitler was very bad, obviously." And then a bunch of his angry followers, most of the responses were, "How dare you insult, how dare you insult Hitler?" That's what I'm not joking. That's what most of his responses were.
Now,
So
who
yeah,
was
nice
this?
nice audience. What?
Who was this?
Alex Jones, and then
Oh,
his yeah, nice audience you've cultivated there, Alex.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, anyway.
I'm not seeing a whole lot just outstanding in the headlines today. Must be slow news.
Right. What else? Oh yeah, what's your so far? What's your opinion on Milei, the president of Argentina? How do you think? He seems to be doing pretty well for the most part so far.
I mean, better than most.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen some criticisms of it that's like, yeah, an ANCAP wouldn't do that. But man, when you go
I
to
mean,
the
if you
World Economic Forum and drop truths like he did, respect, you know?
yep. And also, I mean, if you're working in a government, there's you have limitations. There's only so much you can do.
Yeah. That's why a lot of people say principled libertarians wouldn't do that because no matter how much good you think you do, you're going to have to violate the NAP in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
Not all that much on my X feed either. There's one from Sabine Hassenfelder, British researcher who led recent review on the efficiency of medical treatments for transgender teens, speaks out about how impossible it has become to discuss the topic rationally. Yeah, because it's been completely politicized. There's a pull quote here. What dismays me is just how childish the debate can become. If I don't agree with somebody, then I'm called transphobic or a TERF. And the abuse spiked every time the review said something people don't like. Yeah. I mean, that's a good criteria right there if you're not allowed to even have a discussion about it. Slow news day is better than a bad one, I suppose. Yeah. There's no headlines about, 50 million people killed today when an asteroid fell on Seattle or anything. You were talking about that Tesla recall. I'm just seeing a video here from Aaron J. Cash. I'm not sure who that is. This was retweeted, but basically you can fix that Cybertruck recall issue yourself in 35 seconds with a drill. SKM, you want to know why I think Islam will not take over? Because the last time they tried, it splintered into 4 different empires which turned on each other. That's how it goes. That's how it always goes. Not just with Islam. Here's one that's getting retweeted that I think is the kind of dangerous mentality about AI. This is from someone named Sasha Yanshin. ChatGPT is going to take all our jobs by the end of the year. Large language models are real AI that's smarter than 99.9% of people. If you don't understand, you're too stupid to understand AI. You always got to love it when they end with that. The thing people have to remember about LLMs, whether it's ChatGPT or Mistral or Llama or whatever, they make stuff up. That's what they do. We've seen more than one attorney this past year, I've covered it on the podcast, get in trouble because they had ChatGPT write their briefs. And ChatGPT, or like one was Google Bard or whatever, they just made up cases out of whole cloth. So yes, here's a perfect case for our situation. It's bop-a-dop-a-dop versus bop-a-dop-a-dop. No such case. And of course, the lawyers didn't do a reality check, and judge was not happy. Yeah, AI is not a hotline to truth, and this kind of everyone treating it that way, I think, is going to cause more problems than anything else. Because, they're always talking about bias in the models. Well, the models are going to have bias. The trick is to understand that.
Yeah.
Although from the analysis I've seen, it was, I think it was Mistral, the French one, that was kind of the less biased of all the AIs. Although that was before Grok came out, so I don't know how Grok stacks up to that. Here's a good one from Ricada Law, talking about a lot of the stuff that the police over in the UK are doing, with the hate crime laws and things like that. And Ricada Law, the Nick Ricada, he tweets, "Imagine growing up and wanting to help people. You see police officers praised for minor to major heroism, romanticized for the good they do to society. You become a police officer. You end up knocking on some bloke's door over a tweet. How can you ever have pride in that?" Exactly. Is the chat frozen again? Someone say hi or something so I'll know it's not frozen. Tesla's also dropping the price of, hey, Monarcho Liberal, thanks for that. Tesla's also dropping the price of full self-driving. It was $12,000, now it's $8,000. It was initially $15,000, so. But that's how it goes.
I'll be back.
What's that?
I'll be back in just a sec. Hold on.
All right. But that's how it goes, with the early adopter effect. I always remember that, like, the first high definition televisions were like $50,000 or something like that. Now you can go to Walmart and for $100, you can get one that's even a lot better than those initial ones that came out, even 4K and HDR and things like that. That's how technology goes. And as this technology develops, we see in so many other things: cruise control, anti-lock brakes, even just, automatic gearbox instead of having to do manual shifting. It starts out being this really expensive feature, then it's only in, select models, and then it's in more models, and then it becomes standard. That's just how it goes. It's happening really fast, though, with the self-driving cars. I wonder, at this point, at the rate it's going, if my grandkids will have driver's ed. Or if it's just something expected that you don't drive your car, it's just, Oh, here's a hilarious one. Joe Biden, his official Twitter, not POTUS, but his personal one, tweeted, "No one should be jailed just for using or possessing marijuana." Well, then how about you stop doing it? You're in charge, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, half a century he's been, senator or
Why did your
whatever.
vice
He's
president
written all
put so
these.
many people in?
What's that?
Oh, yeah. Then why'd you pick someone for vice president who did exactly that as a profession?
Yeah. Yeah, and she was one of the worst. I mean, all those tough on crime, everything. Like I said, just about getting the lower level, marijuana users filling up prisons and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got a couple more from Fighting Zenithian. Let's see. If you need a prime example of evil being economically unsustainable, read Fist of the North Star from beginning to end. RFK Jr. is also notorious for screening and censoring comments on his children's health defense organization. Doesn't surprise me. And he says, "I'll be back. I have to start lawn mowing." Yep. All right. Good luck with that. Hope the weather's good where you are. So, I mean, just grabbing for popularity in an election year. But just tell your DEA to stop doing it. And tell your FBI to stop investigating it. And tell your DOJ to stop prosecuting it. You can do that. You're in charge. You're the man. Here's a funny one. It's there's an old engraving of Jesus praying to God in the Garden of Gethsemane, and there's a talk balloon that's put on it, and the talk balloon says, "Dear me, it's me." Yeah. Because Christian dogma says that Jesus was praying to himself. So.
Yep. The incoherence of every religion is something, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh God, lots of people campaigning for Harry Dunn. We covered him. He's one of the 2 Capitol Police officers that committed blatant perjury about what happened on January 6th. And
Let's say. Not a whole lot else.
to be fair, is he in charge? Well, yeah, I think he's just someone for the deep state to prop up. But going to religion when someone asks why we should be moral without God, I respond, try to act like a psychopath and see how most people will react to you. There's your answer. Yep. Exactly right. Yeah, maybe there's just not a lot going on Sundays.
Yeah. Except sports.
Yeah,
Oh, I care about it.
tons of sports.
I like the NBA playoffs, and I think the NHL as well. But that's something I care about. I don't know how much you are interested in it.
I have no interest in sports whatsoever. You can talk about it if you want. I'm just not going to be able to hold up my end.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, there isn't really much to discuss. But yeah, that's about it. Um, right. Well, I might head out then.
All right. We
Yeah.
still got
All right.
like
See ya.
50 minutes to go if anyone else wants to jump in.
Yeah.
Again, you can do it direct on the Discord. Just use the link on your screen.
Yeah. But unfortunately, I've got some stuff to do, so
Yeah,
I'll be heading.
I get it. We'll see you,
soon.
Sid.
Yep.
Take care. Yeah, between sports and Elon Musk hating, I'm not seeing a whole lot. Biden-Harris administration takes action to secure nuclear fuel supply chain. Oh my God, we're in trouble. Now, SKM says when a person says that, it shows their lack of empathy, as well as their lack of self-preservation. The vast majority of people, religious and non-religious, instinctively know this. Which is better, spaghetti or beefaroni? I don't know. I'm kind of going off tomato-based stuff. I think I need to avoid the nightshades, is what it is, because they kind of mess with my pain management. So anything in like a tomato sauce or something like that, or anything with a lot of peppers in it. So apparently part of this is closing HALEU requests. No new HALEU requests can come through. That's high assay low enrichment uranium. That's a lot of the new SMRs and fast reactors that are like incredibly safe and don't have any high level wastes run on HALEU. They're also trying to claim their infrastructure bill covered that. I didn't really see anything like that I mean, it's a huge bill, so who knows? There's probably something in there they can worm into saying this is for nuclear. It really just seems to be ban imports to stop Russia from importing HALEU under the guise of we'll do more of it ourselves. But we've seen how that's worked with other stuff, haven't we? Oh, well, at least he's paying lip service to it. That's better than he used to. See, if they had like a beefaroni and a cheese sauce or something like that, that would be perfect. Mercedes becomes the first automaker to sell autonomous cars that don't come with a requirement that drivers watch the road. Oh, it's fortunate I got it registered. Yeah, I can't see enough of it to tell if it's... I doubt it's level 5, but it could be level 3 would be like in limited scenarios, like in certain cities, or... Beefaroni and cheese sauce is macaroni. Oh, okay. But one will know macaroni doesn't have beef in it, though. Oh no, robots are taking over fast food jobs after they passed a minimum wage hike in some states. Yeah, learn the pattern, people. This is from KTLA. It's about California. Some fast food restaurant chains have raised menu prices by as much as 8% since California's $20 an hour minimum wage law took effect April 1st. Yeah. Wendy's has hiked prices by roughly 8%. Chipotle has raised them 7.5%. Taco Bell raised them 3%. Burger King raised them 2%. Starbucks 7%. SKM, I think the fast food wage hike may be intentional. Maybe some of these politicians may have shares in stocks in robotics. Maybe. They've got stocks in the kiosk companies. And they raised prices. Chipotle raised the price of its chicken burrito by 8.3%, the steak burrito by 7%, and Burger King the Whopper meal by 1.4%. Remember, this is just since April 1st. This is less than a month. This isn't like annual inflation. This is just since that minimum wage hike came in. Democrats increased minimum wage for quick service restaurant workers from $16 to $20 an hour to help them cope with the rising cost of living. Yeah, good job. There's also been job cuts. Pizza Hut laid off 1,200 employees. Yeah. All they do is destroy. The minimum wage hike is one of the reasons for the increases. They have to be doing this intentionally. Well, they don't have a choice. I mean, you increase their labor costs by whatever that would be, 4 out of $20. So yeah, that's a 20% hike in labor costs. You got to make that back somehow. Where's the money going to come from? That's the question no one really wants to answer or even ask. They think they have vaults of gold coins at Gringotts or something like that. They can just, that's not how it works. Ooh, another LastPass master password threat. LastPass issued a warning to its users not to press option 1 or 2 if they get a call purporting to be from the service. This is due to a new scam that could potentially compromise account master passwords with all the misery that would bring. It's linked to Crypto Chameleon, a phishing as a service kit that makes it easier for criminals to steal personal information. The kit provides everything they need in a ready-made package. Basically, a cyber criminal can use these kits to fake websites to steal passwords and other authentication data, and either use these credentials themselves or sell them to other criminals. Yeah, we've seen this before. They create the fake login page, but I don't get what the pressing 1 or 2 thing is about. They found the fraudulent domain help-lastpass.com. Don't go to that site. By monitoring this domain, the security team was able to identify as soon as it went live, purporting to be a login page to the service, and initiated steps to have it taken down. But Crypto Chameleon continues to provide criminal customers with the necessary branding. I mean, that's what they do. They just go to the website and they copy the design and the graphics and everything, put it up on theirs. What I meant was the politicians have to be doing this intentionally. Yeah, they're the cause for the increase of cost of living in the first place. Yep. They know what they're doing. They're not that stupid. Okay, here we go. The victim is called with an automated message informing them their LastPass account has been accessed from an unknown device, and gives instructions to either press 1 and allow the access or press 2 and block it. Password managers do not do this. You get a call that's anything like that, it's a scam, just hang up. Pressing 2 does no such thing, of course. It triggers a message telling the user they will shortly get a call from a customer service representative. That comes from a spoofed number. The caller claiming to be a LastPass employee, they've been sent an email that includes a link to enable them to reset their account for security reasons. They won't ever need to do that. You can reset it yourself. You just go there and do it yourself. But that link redirects the cloned login page where the user is asked to provide their master password. If successful, the criminal will then lock the user out of their own account by changing the primary phone number, email address, and master password. And now they got all your stuff, and there ain't a thing you can do about it. I mean, maybe LastPass support could help you, but they know, all right, Newsom tried to give Panera Bread an exception. Yep, they always do. They make an exception for their buddies. If you get a phone call from someone claiming to work for LastPass, hang up and report the details using abuse@lastpass.com. Send a screen capture of any purported text messages, forward any emails. Remember that LastPass or any other password management service will never ask for your master password via phone call, text message, or email. For very obvious reasons, it just doesn't happen. If it does, then it's a scam. We'll continue to work diligently to protect our customers and take whatever proactive measures we can to disrupt this activity. Yeah. That's something that could happen with anything. It could happen with LastPass. It could happen with Bitwarden. It could happen with your bank or whatever. Because they can just clone the site. And if they can get you to log into it. Yeah, so it doesn't look like the encryption was broken or anything like that. It's social engineering. Speaking of LastPass, would a 40-character master password be safe as long as it's not all one letter? It depends on how you generate it. Randomly generated, it's fine. I've got a video on how you do, like you just get random dictionary words and string them together. And I think 4 of those I thought wouldn't be enough, but how many do I have? Do I have 6 in mine? I think I have 6 in mine. But anyway, as long as it's randomly generated with a strong cryptographically secure random number generator, then yeah, that will be fine. What about a passphrase or a sentence? The problem with sentences, they're too predictive. For the same reason that LLMs work, you have a word, there are different probabilities on what the next word is going to be. So you're better off using that method that I did to make master passwords, because then I easily show you how to make a mnemonic where you just chain one to the other to the other. Yeah, mine's under 40 characters, but it's 6 randomly generated words from a nice long list of words. And so that's good to use as a master password. And then for the regular passwords, whoop, am I out of disk space? I'm out of disk space. Why am I out of disk space? I should not be out of disk space. Am I still live streaming? I think I am still live streaming. What the heck, everyone? I should not be out of that much disk space. That's taking up my disk space. Was that a false alarm? Are you recording again? It's recording again. Okay. Oh yeah, too many tech problems today. Hey, Fourth Root said he was going to make it. I don't see him around anywhere, though. You're stopping recording again? Come on. Come on, do the thing. And now it's recording again. I don't know what's going on. Did you post another Bogosity episode today? I delayed it to 6 p.m. because of the live stream here. I didn't want it jamming up against it. So yeah, it'll be up just a little later. Going back to Newsom, a couple years back, he actually shielded PGE from a lawsuit that injured and killed people. If that wasn't a recallable offense, what is? Well, it's only recallable if you can get people to recall you. All right, I think my recording is going. So yes, there is a new Bogosity episode again because of this. It's just posting a little later, but it will feature an update on the Police Scotland crime complaints from their new hate crime law. Judge says that an illegal immigrant can carry guns. Covers some Supreme Court oral arguments in Fisher v. United States. That's kind of a long one, but it's showing how dumb a lot of these judges are, which is always fun. And then more about political trials. The biggest bogon emitter is Catherine Marr, and she was one of the reasons for Wikipedia's downfall about it not being open for the reasons you can probably guess. And Idiot Extraordinaire is New York because of what they're doing to... It's already been closed down, but there's a power plant. Governor Cuomo forced it to shut down, and Governor Hochul is now just getting in the way of them because, you know, you have tritium as a byproduct, and they store the tritium in tanks, and then they do a controlled release into, in this case, the Hudson Bay, in levels that are just tiny compared to the background amounts that are there. I mean, there's more tritium created by cosmic rays than there is from all the world's nuclear power plants. And they do this small one. And they did all this fear mongering about, oh, the tritium will destroy local communities and everything like that. Just New York making it hell on businesses just trying to do business. And again, this is one they've already shut down. They're just trying to wind things down, and they're even getting in the way of that. So, yep, that's what's coming up, 6 p.m. Eastern on Bogosity, about 5 hours later because of the live stream. But that will be there. So check it out. I think it's a lot of fun. Bit of a longer one, but mostly because of going over idiot Supreme Court justices. Oh God, New York Times, another headline. Will a mountain of evidence be enough to convict Trump? I've got a video coming up on how idiotic that case is and how it could be harmful to the rest of us as well. Because who cares about Trump? He can take care of himself, but what they're doing to the justice system and what they can do to the rest of us as a result. So that should go up for supporters fairly soon after we're done here, because it's already in the can. I just need to get it finished up and put up, and then I'll probably post that on Tuesday. This week is going to be hard because I've got it's like Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I've got all sorts of places to be and things I have to do. So I think Tuesday might be the only day I have to actually do any more videos. And that's probably going to have to be the quickies, because last week when I was working on the quickies, I got, I think, like 3 of them recorded. And the MP4 file got corrupted. And I'm sure what it was is just that problem you always have with MP4 files getting cut off at the end. I went to all sorts of sites that claim to say, yes, our product will fix your MP4 file. And none of them did. And then they said, well, pay us money and it'll fix it for real. It's like, no, if you can't get a trial to work, your software is not going to work. So I wasted like 2 hours looking through those, and I finally was like, hey, and I re-recorded one of them, the latest quickie that was up, and my voice wasn't fresh and I was royally pissed off. So it's probably not my best one, but I'm going to try to get a Lord Killian in there. Got a few different ones that I can do for him, but we'll have to see, because those take the longest to produce. Some states are trying to do high cap mag bands, but you can make them on $100 polymer printers. There's no way this is even possible. They don't care about possible. They just care about being seen to have done something. How did you think of the Lord Killian character? That was kind of a collaboration between me, Dapperton, and the artist that did it. Just trying to find a way to just revitalize things. And the fact of the matter is, you can make a video and it gets so many views. You make the same video, but with a cartoon avatar, you get a lot more views. And so we're kind of thinking like what we could do. And it was like an afternoon going back and forth with with the artist doing a couple of concepts and then working from there. And so, yeah, that was an afternoon between the 3 of us. Yeah, they're probably just going to try to make 3D printers illegal, I think is what, man, the feel of old YouTube is so different compared to now. Oh, ain't that the truth? It's just gotten so corporatized. It's no longer about the small producer. It's about the big corporations and who can grab the biggest views from them and everything, and who can, do the live streams that bring in, 10 million people or whatever. Now, when it was mostly small and individual creators doing videos and doing reaction videos and stuff like that, the environment was just so much better. Everything about it was just so much better compared to now. Getting back to 3D printers, though, I wonder how Apple is going to react when you can print a new iPhone case or something. Because we've seen what they've done with third-party alternative parts for iPhones and other Apple devices, stopping them at customs, getting them declared counterfeits and all sorts of stuff like that. What are they going to do when you can do a lot of this yourself at home with a 3D printer? What are the car companies going to do when you don't have to, buy a car part from them for $1 zillion? You got a metal 3D printer and you just print it out and put it on the car. 3D printers are made with open source parts, so good luck trying to ban them. Well, they tried to ban fentanyl too, and look at how well that's going. There are still those of us trying to keep the old school YouTube going. We still got Logic doing his thing. That's a great channel. Subscribe to him. So much of what we do started with Logic. We actually parodied that in the first Libertune story. Logic gets cloned and cloned and cloned again and eventually becomes all of us. Once a handgun or rifle can be printed from scratch, they will really start panicking. They already can be. It's just most people can't really afford the printers to do it because, the barrel is going to have to be metal. There are a couple other parts that have to be metal. And those printers are expensive, and doing it with the right kind of metal, the right materials, at the right level of precision and everything, because these things have a resolution to them. That's tricky, but it can be done. But it can be done with just machinist tools too. Yeah, and they're already panicking about them. They're calling them ghost guns. Ooh, they're ghosts. Scary. You're scared of the ghosts. They're ghost guns. Finding ways to make barrels with 3D printed jigs so it's only a matter of time. Well, it's a matter of strength. You're not going to do it with your basic plastic 3D printer. It's just not going to be strong enough. You might get one shot out before the barrel explodes. The barrel has got to be like a really strong thing. Even the ones that are like made specifically, designed specifically for 3D printing that have the really thick barrels, they only last a few shots. The scary thing is, it would be a lot easier to make an assassin's weapon than a self-defense weapon. Because usually those, you only need one shot with those. Just go up with someone, jab it in the stomach, bang, and then toss it. They have those on the black market in like India and other places, for the gangs to use in assassinations. And if you only got to use it once, you don't need a whole lot of sophisticated moving parts. Just something you can put the round in and set it off. And a barrel that will last once. And then it's plastic and you just throw it into something hot enough to melt it down, and there it goes. They're making 3D printed jigs for lathes and mills, which will help indexing cuts to make them from metal. Okay, yeah. Yeah, but that's still machining them. That's not like just printing a barrel and having it come out. You're going to need a good metal 3D. And even then, I don't know what the technology is about 3D printing with steel. Because I think most of it, I'm not even sure if it's aluminum. It might just be solder that they're doing right now. And they can make some pretty hefty 3D prints, but I don't think it's going to be the same as a barrel made with, tempered steel. And I think the main problem with 3D printing metal is always just going to be you got to get it hot enough to be liquid. That's going to be the issue. You know, you can melt plastic fairly easy. You can melt resin fairly easy. And you can make it soft and malleable enough to do your 3D printing and have a nice little thing. Doing it with metal, a lot trickier. A lot trickier. But the fact is, there have always been zip guns made in prisons that have killed people. Really clever and sophisticated designs. You can pass all the laws you want. You ain't gonna get rid of them. You ain't gonna stop the bad guys from getting them. You ain't gonna stop the gang members and the cartels and the assassins and the terrorists from getting them. The only people you're going to stop are the ones who would use them for self-defense against the terrorists and the gang members and everyone else that you didn't stop from getting the guns in the first place. Here's a good thing about producing guns. Even though it's slow with basic tools, they are durable, so they don't need to be made on the same scale as drugs. Yeah, it's true. They're not really consumable. Well, they are, I guess, but you look at these restoration videos, and yeah, I know a lot of them are bogus, but a lot of them are real. You know, there's a gun from like World War I or something. It's all rusted up, and they can fix it up and actually get it to where it can fire again. Fighting Zenithian is back. Let's see what he has to say. I'm back for the time being, and I'd love to print 3D parts for my 65 Dodge Dart GT. Yep, that would be cool to be able to, wouldn't it? I need this part. Okay, 3D print it out. Stick it in. That'd be awesome. But man, imagine the people freaking out over copyrights, you know, just like they did, you know, when BitTorrent and LimeWire and all of those came out, and the music industry and the movie were like, oh, you're pirating, you're stealing our stuff. Well, that was just information. You couldn't do it with physical stuff. Well, now you can. You download the plans from it for the Pirate Bay, print it out so you don't have to buy it. And they'll go, wow, our trademark, wow, our patent. By the way, I've referred minimum wage, zoning, etc. as keep poor people out of the job market laws. Yeah, that's exactly what they are. Something in the Kyle Kulinski, Lamar White Jr. and friends deny, yeah. Yep, that's exactly what they are. But yeah, like I said, printing out parts for an iPhone or printing out what about when you can print a circuit board? You know, you've actually got, you know, you can print the board itself, and then you print the circuit designs on it and actually print the resistors on top of it and everything else. That would be awesome. And then you just make your own board, you print it out, replace the one in your iPhone. How's Apple going to react to that? All right. Zenithian gives us Lamar White's website. If you want to see all of his links and everything, the link below includes a link to the live stream over on Rumble, and you can see his chat there, broadcasting simultaneously to YouTube, Odyssey, and Rumble. SKM says a modified basic lathe can make rifle caliber barrels, but it's slow compared to industrial stuff. But if it's properly made and maintained, it'll last tens of thousands of rounds. Yeah. Yeah, you only have to do it once. And Zenithian also gives us an article from the Cato Institute's Downsizing DC. So there's another link for you. It's not on the screen. This thing is sized wrong. Hang on. This is going to look weird while I get it done. I think that's as good as I could do on instant notice there. It explains why the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers ruined the Florida Everglades and caused Louisiana's coastal erosion problem. Sounds like a great article, yeah. Definitely check that out. Got a good number of articles and videos from Fighting Zenithian over on Rumble to check out. So thank you so much for those. And I mean, if you look at how the car industry and the Apple and people like that are fighting right to repair laws, what's it going to happen when they become right to print laws? Yeah. Drugs are a different story because it's consumable, so a higher volume is a must. Yeah, and that's also why drugs have become more and more potent since the war on drugs started. Because like even heroin over the decades became more and more concentrated. And now the reason why fentanyl is a big thing is, first of all, fentanyl is something like, depending on the type, hundreds to thousands of times as potent as heroin. So you don't need that much of it to get the high. But also, it's made in a lab. You don't need a grow operation. So you can make it a lot cheaper. And so that's what they're doing. They just started moving fentanyl because you can get a bigger number of doses in the same little package. Kelly Dickerson happens to be the founding member of the Louisiana Freedom Caucus, which has nothing to do with freedom, but are a bunch of religious nut bars. Yeah, that's how it goes a lot of the time. That's basically the Constitution Party right there in a nutshell. They're about the Constitution, but really it's more like Constitution here, Bible up here. Yeah. And something else I wonder about 3D printing guns, and I am not a gunsmith, so I may be way wrong about this, and I would never try it, not only because of the legalities, but also because I'm worried it would blow up in my face. But I was watching a video on the mechanism of how the AR-15 worked, and how, you know, it goes through and does the catch thing and goes back and loads the next round automatically. And I'm thinking this might be the case with any gas-propelled rifle. And I'm looking at this one little part that kind of sticks out a little bit. And if I'm understanding this right, I'm like, are you telling me that all I would have to do is take a Dremel and grind off that one part, and now it's fully automatic? I might be wrong. Not a gunsmith. Don't try, and I'm trying to keep it vague, so I'm not giving instructions or anything. But it might be a little scary how easily these can be converted into fully automatic. I mean, we've seen things like, you know, you bend a paper clip in just the right way and stick it in there and it becomes automatic. Of course, you have to really know what you're doing. And again, if you do it wrong, then you could ruin the gun and it could blow up in your face and stuff like that. So don't try it. Not only because it's illegal, but because it's a dumb thing to do. But if you're a gunsmith and you know what you're doing, that's all it takes to convert it to fully automatic. SKM, back in 2018, Canadian police discovered a mafia-owned machine shop producing Tech 9s, which have been circulating in Canada since 2015. Yep. Hey, Canada, your gun control laws are really working that great, aren't they? They're really working well. I would use a mechanical hand pulling the trigger when testing a gun. That's why you see, like, Mythbusters does this. A lot of these restoration channels, when they do a test fire, they do things like that. They stick the gun in a vise and they have like either a string or a mechanical arm or something like that going back, and they're setting it off remotely for the first, couple of rounds to make sure it can fire properly and that it can successfully load the next round and work. And they do that before they actually pick up the gun with their hands and do it, which is... They know what they're doing and they do this. So if they're taking that many precautions, then you should really think twice before trying that sort of thing on your own. But yeah, I mean, that's how easy it would be to get them on the black market. Yeah, and don't worry, no criminal can ever get their hands on police equipment and car in Canada. Sarcasm. Yeah. Yep. Oh my God. It's just so silly. It's so silly, the kind of panic. Like, the thing now is those Glock switches or whatever. They're not from Glock. They have the Glock logo on them, but they're made on the black market. But apparently it's this thing you just stick on your Glock a certain way, your Glock pistol, and it turns it into firing automatically. And there are politicians that are just losing their head about that. Oh, they could just go into a school and blow away a whole bunch of kids. So it's like, wait a minute. Mag on a Glock is what? 15? One in the cam, that's 16. You hold down the trigger. You squeeze it back on an automatic Glock. How long are those 16 rounds going to last? 2 seconds, if that? Yeah, you can put all those bullets in one, maybe two targets, but you're not sweeping a whole school full of kids with those. And that's what they're making it sound like. They either don't get how they work or they're deliberately lying. Until we get 3D metal printing, the interim will be stronger 3D printed polymers combined with jig and CNC aided machining. Someone's going to figure out how to stick AI in there. Hey, AI, tell me how to turn this gun into a fully automatic. ChatGPT wouldn't do it because it's programmed not to, but there are other ways. There are completely uncensored LLMs you can download, run on your own computer. No one knows what you're doing with them. That's why they're kind of running scared and they're passing all these AI laws, because they want AI to be gatekept by these few corporations, the big corporations that they know they can control. They don't like the open source stuff that you can just download and use on your own computer. Can AI help with machining? I don't see why it wouldn't. It would take a lot of the low-level skill and like the practicing and the doing over and over again you have to do to get good at it. It could cut out a lot of that. I mean, if it can drive your car, why not? You just tell it, hey, I want this thing, except I wanted to have this other thing and this third thing on the end of it. Then the AI could just put it together, send it to your lathe or whatever, or your 3D printer, and it pops out. It's just incredible what it can do. All you need is enough data to put in and train it. And enough silicon to just crunch through that in a reasonable amount of time. And it's amazing. People are going to continue to be amazed. You watch a video with Tesla's FSD, it stops for stop signs. No one told it to do that. No one told it what a stop sign was. No one told it when you're at a stoplight, stop on red and go on green. No one told it any of that. The older version did. They had like 300,000 lines of code or something like that. The new version, the one that they're sending out to everyone now, that they've had for a few months, doesn't do any of that. And yet it does those things. It does those things because they had tons of videos of people driving safely and the way you're supposed to drive. And they had enough of that to shove into the training. And then out spits this checkpoint file. You put the checkpoint file in your Tesla. UK, a machine shop was caught producing handguns back in 2020. Yeah, I remember that. No, hell, there are third world countries that do this stuff. Little mud hut somewhere. You go in the mud hut and they've got all these machine tools. Making fully automatic weapons for the triads and the Yakuza and everyone else. You're not stopping it. Again, you're just stopping the law abiding. Two minutes left and the recording is still going good. I don't know why it was giving me crap about that. I mean, I think it's always going to be the case that it'll be cheaper to mass produce than to 3D print. So there's always going to be, that natural thing about, okay, I buy it from the factory and it's a lot cheaper. But hopefully it'll cut down on, like I said, car companies just saying, we're the only one that can produce this price and then jacking it up 5 times what it needs to be. I think this Philippine gunsmith can benefit from 3D jigs and AI. Maybe they already are. Who knows? Who knows? The stuff is out there, man. No putting the genie back in the bottle. Gas pass is $1.70 per liter. Let's see what that is in real units. Seven going the. If I'm doing this right, that's the equivalent of $6.43 a gallon. Assuming I've done the math right. All right, Fighting Zenithian has a message for Mr. No. He says you would have a field day with Louisiana police, with Antoinette Frank, Norris Greenhouse Jr., Derek Stafford, and so on. Yeah, better make some good money to account for the cost. I wonder how much of that is taxes. I mean, here it's still up above $3 a gallon. I mean, if I've done this right, that's like half of what you're paying, but still. I think it's more expensive in California. Let's see what it is. California gas prices. Average gasoline price in California is $5.45 a gallon. Okay, so still not quite as expensive as you are, but still up there because of all their taxes. What is your favorite mathematical concept? I don't really do superlatives, so I don't have favorites, but I have things that fascinate me. And one thing that I've been more fascinated about by late is uncomputable numbers. You think the whole idea of numbers, right, is that you calculate them, you compute them. That's what math is all about, right? The computable numbers are a countable infinity. Then uncountability, uncountable infinity is uncomputable numbers. There are infinitely more uncomputable numbers than computable. Most numbers are uncomputable. Kind of blows your mind, doesn't it? But they're thinking that this might have real world ramifications for things like the uncertainty principle. Why is the uncertainty principle a thing? Why does the universe behave that way? Why can you not know both the position and velocity of a particle with precision? Why do they behave in such a fuzzy way? Well, because getting that information, that's a form of computing, isn't it? If most numbers are uncomputable, then when you get down to that tiny, tiny scale, there's going to come a point where it breaks down, and you're not going to be able to compute it. Hunting Zenithian, I see AI as a great aid in character design, plot ideas, and fake movie screenshots, but it's severely limited. It can do certain things well, but others not so much. It's a tool. It's a tool. I and basically every artist I know, except for the ones that where this has come out, they've hit the ceiling like that one artist with D&D. But we're incorporating AI into our workflow. And it's not like, push button get art or type prompt get art like Midjourney. But it's like you start off with a sketch and you try to refine, and there's all these techniques you learn in art for how to do that. Well, there are a lot of steps along the way that AI can be a huge help with. But it's actually a misnomer to call it AI art. AI does not make art. AI generates images, AI alters images, AI enhances images. Only human beings can make art. And that's going to be the case until we have an AI that has achieved sapience. And yeah, know the limitations. Have you seen Mentis Wave's new video? I haven't. I'll check that out. I know an artist I commissioned panicking about AI, and I told him that it would be more beneficial to independent artists than corporations. Exactly, yeah. And it's not going to take jobs. It's not actually going to replace anybody. No more than Photoshop did. Everyone was saying that about Photoshop too. But no, because you still got to be an artist to get a good result out of Photoshop. Well, you got to be a good artist to get a good result out of Stable Diffusion. It's not type prompt get art. It's nowhere near that simple. And even the things I do for the one and done YouTube thumbnails I do, because I don't want to spend more than, 30, 45 minutes working on a YouTube thumbnail. But I'm still not doing type prompt get art. There's a lot of other steps there. So, yeah, none of the, I could give you like the exact model I used, the prompt, the negative prompt, the seed, all of the settings, everything else that I did for one of those thumbnails. You put it in, you don't get the same image out. You don't, because you haven't done all of the prep work I did to get to that point. And then, of course, you didn't do all of the refinements I did afterwards. You're just looking at one step in the middle. And if you haven't done the parts up to then, you can't even get to that middle part, let alone the finished idea. All right, despite the late start, I think we've gone our full 2 hours now, and we've had some good discussions about different things, despite not having anyone in the voice chat for most of it. We did have Sid there for a while, and we had whatever his name was at the start of it. Some good discussions there. Lots of good stuff in the chats. No one in Odyssey this time, but we have Finding Zenithian over in the Rumble chat. So thank you for getting on over there. Too bad I got here late. Well, catch the next one. So yeah, and always remember, you can always see all of my videos on all these channels, YouTube, Odyssey, and Rumble. You can get them early with Patreon, Subscribestar, and now Discord. I've got the basic tier on Discord. I'm going to have to think about what to do about the other tiers because I've got 4 tiers. Discord only lets you have 3. So I'll have to think about which one I I don't put over on Discord. And I'm also kind of looking at maybe the idea of YouTube subscriptions, trying to do it through there, learning more about how that works. So more options showing up. If you've been a supporter, please continue to enjoy your benefits at the lower price. Newer supporters have to come in at the higher price, but I hope you'll find that it's all well worth it. So you can find all of that at donate.bogosity.tv, one-time donations with PayPal, Venmo, cryptocurrencies, all sorts of cryptocurrencies. I'll take cryptocurrency. I'll take it. It's money. I can use it. I know how to use cryptocurrency. There's a guy, Joel Valenzuela, been living solely on cryptocurrency since 2015. And he's got a bunch of videos, interviews that he's done with people detailing how he does it. Just amazing stuff. So please do all of that. Keep me doing what I do. We'll see you until next time. Stay strong and be free.